What if her silence isn't what it seems? You've pulled back, gone quiet, and stopped chasing. But instead of reaching out, she's gone silent too. Is she moving on, or is something much deeper happening in her mind? Behind that calm exterior, there's a whirlwind of emotions she can't control, and every moment of your silence is making her question everything. Stay with me, because what's really going on when you stop texting her will completely flip the way you see this game, and by the end of this video, you'll have the upper hand. Section 1. No contact. Why women mirror your silence. When you stop texting and calling, it's not just a pause in communication, it's a shift in the dynamic. Relationships are built on patterns, and when you disrupt those patterns, it sends shockwaves through the connection. Modern women aren't oblivious to no-contact strategies. They've heard about it, seen it in action, and even practiced it themselves. So when you pull back, her instinct isn't to panic, it's to mirror your silence. This isn't because she's indifferent, it's because she wants to maintain control of the situation. What she's really doing is testing you. She wants to see if your silence is genuine or just a strategy. Is he serious about pulling away, or is this just a temporary move? By mirroring your silence, she's trying to call your bluff. But here's where the real power lies. While she's matching your energy on the surface, her mind is doing something completely different. Beneath the calm exterior, she's asking herself a million questions. Why did he stop texting? Did I say something wrong? Has he lost interest? And as the hours turn into days, those questions don't fade. They grow louder. Here's the truth. When she mirrors your silence, it's not about indifference, it's about defense. She's protecting herself from vulnerability, but in doing so, she's stepping right into your frame. The longer you hold your ground, the more her curiosity, doubts, and emotions build. Silence isn't just a strategy, it's a way to reset the dynamic and make her feel your absence. Section 2. How women overthink. During no-contact, silence isn't empty. It's full of questions, doubts, and emotions, especially for women. When you stop texting, her mind doesn't just go quiet. It turns into a storm of thoughts, each one louder than the last. At first, she might feel confident. She tells herself, I can handle this. He's probably just busy. But as the hours tick by, that confidence starts to waver. What's he doing? Why hasn't he reached out? Is he losing interest? These questions aren't just casual, they're invasive. They creep into her mind during quiet moments and grow louder with every passing day. Here's why this happens. Women process emotions through connection. When that connection is interrupted, it creates a void, and the human mind hates voids. It fills them with overthinking, assumptions, and imagined scenarios. She replays your last conversation, analyzing every word. She wonders if she said something wrong, or if there's someone else in the picture. The longer the silence lasts, the more intense this overthinking becomes. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, picking up speed and weight as it goes. And while she's caught in this mental spiral, you're holding all the power. This is why patience is key. Most men panic during no contact. They think, she's not reaching out, so it's not working. But in reality, her silence doesn't mean she's moved on. It means she's processing. And every moment she spends overthinking is a moment she's getting more emotionally invested in you. Section 3. Why she checks your social media. Social media has become the go-to tool for staying connected without direct communication. When you go silent, the first thing she does is check your profiles. Why? Because silence breeds curiosity, and curiosity drives action. She's not just casually scrolling, she's looking for answers. What's he doing? Is he happy? Who's he with? Every post, every story, every update becomes a clue. If you're out with friends, she wonders who's in the background. If you post a gym photo, she asks herself if you're leveling up, and if you post nothing at all, that drives her crazy. Here's the key. What you post or don't post can completely shift the dynamic. A subtle story of you having fun or a picture of you thriving sends a powerful message. It shows her that you're unbothered, confident, and focused on yourself. But here's the twist. Silence on social media creates even more intrigue. When there's nothing for her to analyze, her imagination takes over. She starts filling in the blanks with her own thoughts, and those thoughts usually work in your favor. Social media isn't just a platform, it's a tool. When used strategically, it amplifies your value, your confidence, and your presence, even without direct communication. It keeps her emotionally connected to you. Section 4. The scarcity effect. Why less is more. Scarcity is one of the most powerful psychological triggers in relationships. People value what's rare, and they take for granted what's always available. This is true for everything in life, and relationships are no exception. When you're constantly texting, calling, and chasing, your presence becomes predictable. She knows you'll be there, so she doesn't feel the urgency to reciprocate. But when you pull back, everything changes. Your absence creates scarcity. Suddenly, your attention, your energy, and your time are no longer guaranteed. And this scarcity makes her realize how much she relied on you. She starts to notice the void you've left behind, the texts she used to get, the moments you used to share, and the connection you used to build. This isn't about manipulation. It's about rebalancing the dynamic. By creating scarcity, you're reminding her that your attention is valuable. And when something is valuable, it's desired. Here's the truth. Women don't chase what's easy. They chase what's meaningful. When you create scarcity, you shift from being just another option to being the one she can't stop thinking about. And that's where the power lies. Section 5. Her ego can't handle rejection. In today's society, women are constantly immersed in a stream of validation. From the relentless likes and comments on social media to the flood of messages from admirers, the reinforcement of their desirability is everywhere. This constant influx of attention and affirmation works to solidify their self-esteem, creating an environment where validation is expected and taken for granted. For many women, the desire to be pursued is ingrained into their psyche, making it almost second nature for them to anticipate attention and approval from others. It's a part of how they measure their worth and confidence. But then, something happens that disrupts this cycle. You go silent. You stop pursuing her. At first, she may try to brush it off. She may tell herself, "He's probably just busy. It's no big deal. He'll text me eventually." However, as the silence continues, her sense of certainty begins to waver. She's used to men vying for her attention, constantly reaffirming her place in the social sphere. Your silence challenges this expectation, and slowly her ego starts to crack. The reassurance she's accustomed to, be it the constant texts, the attention, or the affirmation, has been cut off, and it feels like a void she can't fill. What starts as a small crack in her ego eventually turns into a wake-up call. Rejection isn't just a temporary setback, it's a deep bruise to her sense of control and power within the relationship. When she realizes that you're no longer reaching out, she begins to question her position in the dynamic. Did I push him too far? She wonders. Did I misread his interest? Did I take him for granted? These questions grow louder with each passing moment, gnawing away at her sense of security. For many women, being pursued is a validation of their worth. The absence of this pursuit forces them to confront their own vulnerability, and suddenly, the power dynamics in the relationship are turned upside down. Now, instead of you chasing her, she is left to wonder if she is still of any interest to you. She begins to feel the urge to prove herself to you, to show that she is still deserving of your attention and affection. This shift is where you regain control. No longer are you the one seeking validation. Now, she is the one who feels the need to earn your attention. The chase, once exclusively hers, has now become your territory. Section 6. The emotional roller coaster. You trigger silence doesn't just create emotional distance, it triggers a whirlwind of emotions that she isn't prepared to handle. At first, when you pull away, she may think that she's fine. He's probably just busy, she reassures herself. She might even convince herself that your absence doesn't bother her. But this indifference is merely a facade. It's a defense mechanism to protect her from confronting the truth. You're no longer pursuing her, and that's creating an emotional void that she cannot ignore for long. As the days pass and the silence stretches on, her calm exterior begins to crack. Frustration starts to creep in. Why hasn't he texted me yet? What's going on? This frustration doesn't disappear quickly. It soon transforms into doubt. Did I do something wrong? Is he seeing someone else? Why is he ignoring me? This doubt only deepens the emotional turmoil, creating an emotional roller coaster that she can't seem to get off. Each unanswered text or phone call triggers more anxiety and insecurity. But the emotional ride doesn't stop there. Doubt soon gives way to regret. She begins to replay every interaction with you, searching for the moment where things went wrong. Was I too distant? Did I push him away with something I said? She starts to question her own actions, wondering if she made a mistake that has now led to her losing you. The weight of regret becomes overwhelming. It's during this stage that her curiosity intensifies. She's no longer indifferent. She's fixated on your absence, trying to understand why you're so calm and composed when she's spiraling. This curiosity eventually becomes an obsession. She begins to wonder about everything you're doing, who you're with, and why you haven't contacted her. She can't seem to shake the feeling that there's something she's missing. This constant loop of curiosity is exhausting, and it becomes all-consuming. Women, at their core, crave emotional stability and reassurance. When that stability is removed, it creates a gap she desperately wants to fill. The longer you stay silent, the more intense her curiosity becomes. This creates a situation where she will eventually reach out to you, seeking some form of closure or reassurance. But it's not just about talking to you. It's about quelling the emotional turmoil that you've triggered in her. Section 7. Why walking away makes you the prize. One of the most powerful actions you can take in any relationship is walking away. Walking away isn't just about creating physical space. It's about changing the entire dynamic. Most men fear the idea of losing her, so they cling to the connection, chasing her attention and constantly seeking her approval. However, walking away is a demonstration of something far more powerful: confidence. Confidence in yourself, in your worth, and in the fact that you don't need her to complete you. When you walk away, you're sending a clear and direct message. I know my value. I won't settle for less than respect and reciprocity. This isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. By stepping back, you show her that your happiness isn't dependent on her validation. This shift in energy is palpable. Women are naturally attracted to men who value themselves. By walking away, you position yourself as the prize, the man she now has to work to keep. When most men are too afraid to walk away, they cling, chase, and settle. This desperation is easily detected and diminishes their attractiveness. But when you walk away with confidence, you create a sense of rarity. You become the man she doesn't want to lose, and this rarity is what makes you irresistible. Women are drawn to those who understand their own worth. When you demonstrate that you're not afraid to lose her, It forces her to reconsider her position. She may not realize it at first, but over time, the shift becomes undeniable. You've become the one in control. Section 8. How letting go changes the dynamic. Letting go of someone is not about giving up. It's about reclaiming your power and control. Most men are afraid of letting go. They hold on too tightly, fearing that if they loosen their grip, they will lose her for good. However, the truth is that letting go is exactly what forces her to see your value. When you stop chasing and stop seeking her validation, you stop feeding her ego. You stop providing the constant reassurance she's used to, and that creates a void in her life, a void that she will soon begin to feel. When you let go, she begins to realize that your attention is no longer guaranteed. This forces her to take a step back and question whether she took you for granted. She starts to feel the absence of your presence, and this absence amplifies the void. She starts to crave your attention and affection. Letting go is not about playing games. It's about asserting your own worth and prioritizing your own well-being and peace of mind. When she sees that you're no longer reliant on her for validation, it forces her to reevaluate the relationship and the dynamic between you. The moment you let go is the moment the power dynamic shifts. You are no longer the one seeking her approval and attention. Instead, she is now the one who feels the need to prove herself to you. This shift in power is incredibly potent, as it forces her to recognize that she must make an effort to earn your affection. It changes the entire trajectory of the relationship, creating a space where she is now the one chasing, and you are the one holding the cards. Section 9. When she realizes she's losing you. In every no-contact situation, there comes a pivotal moment, a realization where she understands she's losing you. This moment doesn't happen overnight, nor does it come easily. It's something that builds gradually, day by day, as the silence stretches on. At first, she may brush it off with the belief that you'll return eventually. After all, that's what usually happens. He'll come back, she tells herself, perhaps out of pride or hope. But as the days turn into weeks, that initial confidence starts to wither. The reality of your absence begins to take hold, and she can no longer ignore the emptiness that comes with it. As the silence continues, her mind begins to fill in the gaps, and the truth slowly sinks in. You're not coming back, at least not on her terms. The absence of your presence in her life forces her to confront the vulnerability she's been trying to avoid. The feeling of losing you becomes undeniable, and it shakes her in ways she wasn't prepared for. This is the moment when the emotional weight of the situation hits her hard. She begins to reflect on the connection you shared, the conversations that once filled her day, the laughter and the moments of closeness. These memories aren't just nostalgic. They start to weigh on her, making her long for what was once there. As time passes, the longing turns into regret. She starts to wonder where she went wrong and questions if she took you for granted. It's in this moment of realization that she begins to chase, but not in the obvious way. Initially, her attempts may be subtle, a random text or an innocuous like on one of your posts. It's not a full-on attempt to reconnect, but rather an opening, a test of whether you might respond. She's not yet ready to expose her vulnerability completely, but these small gestures are her way of dipping her toes into the water. As her emotions intensify, however, her efforts become more apparent. The text messages increase, the comments on your posts become more frequent, and her attempts to engage with you become more direct. What she's doing now isn't just about rekindling a connection, it's about reasserting her place in your life. She's realizing she has something to lose, and that realization is what drives her actions. This is why patience is key. By remaining calm, composed, and confident in the silence, you give her the space to reflect and realize what she's losing. The absence of your pursuit forces her to confront her feelings and prompts a shift in how she views you and the relationship. And when that realization fully takes hold, it becomes a turning point. She will do whatever it takes to get you back. Her actions will become more deliberate as she seeks your attention, no longer just as a casual attempt, but as an urgent need. She feels the absence deeply, and it's no longer something she can ignore or brush off. The emotional shift is undeniable, and it's a sign that the dynamic is about to change. You've given her the room to reflect and come to this conclusion, and now she's the one making the effort to reconnect. Section 10. The shift from indifference to desire. When the no-contact period begins, she may appear indifferent on the surface. She goes about her daily life, posting pictures on social media, hanging out with friends, and seeming perfectly fine without you. But this apparent indifference is nothing more than an illusion. Beneath the surface, she's beginning to feel the effects of your absence. At first, she tells herself she's fine. Your silence seems manageable, even if it's a little uncomfortable. She might convince herself that she doesn't need you, that she's better off without the constant communication and attention. But as the silence continues, this belief begins to fade. The void you've left behind becomes more apparent, and she starts noticing the small things she once took for granted, the texts she used to get, the way you'd make her laugh, the easy connection you shared. These reminders are subtle but powerful, and they highlight the gap in her life where you once were. This realization starts to shift her feelings. The indifference she felt in the beginning is replaced by curiosity. She begins to wonder what you're doing, where you are, and who you're spending time with. She's not just wondering about you in passing. She's starting to actively think about your absence, about how your silence is affecting her. She may even catch herself checking your social media, wanting to know if you've moved on or if you're still thinking about her. The curiosity doesn't stop there. It begins to evolve into desire. She doesn't just want to know what you're doing. She wants to be a part of it again. The desire for that closeness intensifies, and with it comes an obsession. She wants answers. She wants to understand why you're so calm and composed, why your life seems to go on without her, and if you've truly moved on or are simply waiting for her to come back into your life. This transformation from indifference to desire is the power of no contact. You've created the emotional space for her feelings to develop and deepen. The longer you hold your ground, the stronger those feelings become. By not chasing her or giving in to her attempts to pull you back in, you force her to confront the reality of the situation. The more you stay silent, the more she feels compelled to re-engage. And when she does, it's no longer just about curiosity. It's about the desire to reconnect, to rebuild what was lost, and to restore the emotional bond she's now deeply yearning for.